And then, Warren, I think I'm going to hand over to you for our Android journey section.
Thank you so much, Ed. This indeed is my favorite part of the podcast. Last week, we had Wanda Wilford from New Jersey telling us about that fire in our house, and it was quite an interesting story. And this week, we have our friend Tracy Smith from South Africa. And Tracy, we're looking forward to hearing your wonderful journey with Android. And so, Tracy, take it away. Welcome, by the way.
So I started my Android journey when I got fed up with some of the things that was happening on my iPhone. I started with my iPhone on my smartphone journey. And then I thought, let me give it a bash and try an Android phone. And I thought to myself, let me just get one that's cheap. Then I won't be sorry if it's a disaster. I will be sorry, but it wouldn't be such a train smash if it's a disaster. So I got myself this no-name brand. I don't even know, can't remember the name of the phone, off of some shopping site. And when the phone came, shock, horror, horror, there was no Google Play services, no talkback. So it came time for me to figure out how to get the Google Play on the phone. Then after getting Google Play, how to get talkback. After talkback is installed and trying to use the phone, none of the apps that I had to use, for instance, the Messenger, the phone app, none of them were accessible, which I suppose was part of the fun. It was a bit daunting in the beginning, but it was part of the fun, because then I got to play with different apps and customize the phone to the way I liked it. And I used to sit at work and the people say, what's that? What's that? And they'd all be fascinated with me, with my little Android phone. And I think I was working at a place where there were quite a few blind people, and all of them were using iPhones. And Android, I don't think a blind person can use an Android phone. And I was sitting there lunchtimes and that with my little Android phone and fascinating everybody. And in the beginning, I was told, no, you wouldn't be able to use this thing. And it was quite a bit of a journey, but I got to use it. And from there, I've been using it side by side with my Apple phone until about 5-6 years ago, where I ditched my Apple altogether and I've been using Android. And I've never looked back. I thoroughly like Android a lot. I enjoy things like the fact that I can plug and play. I can just connect my phone to my computer, and I can just load music or connect. For instance, the other day, my computer had to be reformatted, and there was no Wi-Fi driver, and I could go on my phone and download the Wi-Fi driver and plug it into my computer and install the Wi-Fi driver from there. So it's just something that I could never do with my Apple phone. So I love the Android journey, and I don't think I'm going to be changing anytime soon.
Great. Now, Tracy, while we were talking earlier, you talked about taking something under the blanket. Instead of something cuddly, you took that phone under the blanket. Something happened. You want to tell us that story, the blanket episode?
Oh, yeah. I think that it's quite fun. Well, I can say I'm lucky to be alive. I was visiting a friend, and the plug setup was a bit weird. And the phone was hanging and it landed in the blankets, and it was a super hot summer night. And the next day, I saw the phone looked pretty swollen, and the front of the glass was coming off. And I thought, oh my word, my glass is coming off. It looks like my phone is swollen. And I took my brother said he suspected there's something not kosher. Yeah, the phone is there's something wrong with the battery. So I took it to the cell phone repair shop, and luckily they could replace the battery. But she said, you know what, this was a biohazard. Imagine if this thing exploded while I was using it. But yes, so that was my little phone disaster. It was a Huawei phone that nearly caused some catastrophe there, but at least we could remedy the situation. And I've learned my important lesson from there. Never put a cell phone under a blanket on a hot sunny night.
No. You're better off finding something more cuddly, especially in the summertime. I'm not sure about cuddling in the summertime either.
Yeah, just keep the blankets far away from the phone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your story. That's beautiful. Now, you know why this happens to be my favorite part or segment of the podcast. I really like these Android journey stories because there's always something interesting there, and it actually helps our listeners in determining what to get when they're looking for a phone and trying to avoid those pitfalls that you went through.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so
Definitely
much.
do your research beforehand.
Yes, absolutely.
Before
Always
you
do
buy
that
your
research
phone.
and make sure you don't get a phone that doesn't have a play services, because that just makes your job a little bit harder.
So which was that phone? Was it a Xiaomi phone? It was a Techno phone? It must be some Chinese.
It was
It's
a
a Chinese phone, I think.
no name,
but
no brander.
Oh, okay.
No name brand.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And that's the problem. A lot of Chinese phones don't have, Play Store. I'm talking outside of the mainstream ones. Those all come with Play Store services, all the Xiaomi's and all the Apples and the Realme's and all of that. But if you go to other ones, I had like, what was it? I don't remember, something like that didn't have, Play services. So it's just odd. Actually, it had Play services, but did not have TalkBack. And that's what is common in most Chinese phones. Outside of the main ones, there are a lot of them that don't have TalkBack accessibility. So you always want to research before you get it if you don't want someone to be helping you install it. And most especially if you happen to reformat your phone, then you're going to be starting from scratch again, trying to have someone help you get that TalkBack on there. So you don't want to go down that road. Always make sure you get the right phone.
Sometimes even Xiaomi and Poco phones don't come with Play services and TalkBack. So you have to be very careful when you're ordering something from eBay or something. So what happens is they have two ROMs. One is global ROM, one is Chinese ROM. So sometimes they have Chinese ROMs installed on your phone, which is their factory version of Android, but it's Chinese. So it's without a Play Store or services.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, so if you're getting
I don't
a
know.
phone...
This was way before. This was an old phone. I think it was more than 10 years ago that I got this phone. 11, 12 years ago that I had.
Yeah, no, so that was typical then. 10, 12 years ago, that would have been typical. But yeah, it's always good to make sure that the phone that you're getting is not only intended for the Chinese market. And so people need to kind of pay attention to that and make sure that the phones that they're getting are not for the Chinese market, but it's something that is global. And when it's global, then it's bound to have the Play Store services.
And what have you got now, Tracy? What's your current phone?
It's a Samsung A12.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's all right.
See, you've come so far from, a no-brander, no.
Yeah, at least I'm using decent phones now.
That's really good. That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And next time, keep something under the blanket other than the phone.
Then the
Right.
phone. Phones are not supposed to be under blankets, especially not in summertime.
Thank you. Now that it's winter time, there's something more cuddly,
Yes.
Uh, yeah. Although this time of year, I wouldn't, or in the winter, I wouldn't mind my phone getting warm. Probably it warms me up.
Yeah, that might
A little too warm.
work.
Yeah, a little too warm. And we don't want the battery swelling up. That's definitely something we want to try to avoid, not having our batteries swelling up.
Austin, just before we close, how can people find us?
So people can find us by many ways. The first way is visit us on our blindandroidusers.com website. And as mentioned in the announcements, you can post your guides, you can listen to the podcast, subscribe to the newsletter, and the best of all, you can give us feedback on how the website is and how we are doing. And if you need any more improvement, you can tell us that. The next way is if you have any questions to the podcast team, any CSR questions, talkback questions, fitness questions, then you can email contact us at blindandroidusers.com and we will answer your questions by email, because we do not read the questions on the podcast, but some of the questions we will demo on the podcast, so you can put your questions there. If you want to submit your Android journey story, but if you cannot come on Zoom for recording, you want to do it recorded, pre-recorded, and send it to us, you can send it to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. You can join our mailing list, our fantastic mailing list, and discuss everything that is to do with technology, but basic Android. The Android comes first. Then if you have any technical questions, you can ask there. You can send an email to blindandroidusers plus subscribe@groups.io. You can read and join our Telegram group, our Twitter, follow the YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and follow the Clubhouse. And all those links will be in the show notes. That is from us this week.
Thanks, Austin, and thanks everyone for listening. And we shall see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And we look forward to seeing you next week. And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.